Biden just made another blunder that had Trump made, it would have been 7 days of news. And so we actually brought the clip up for you because it's actually worth watching.
We're facing the most significant test of our democracy since the Civil War. That's not hyperbole. Since the Civil War. The Confederates, back then, never breached the Capitol, as insurrectionists did on January the 6th.
Yeah, so if you didn't catch that, he said, we are facing the most significant test our democracy has seen since the Civil War. And he even emphasizes that he's not joking. He goes off and says that's not hyperbole. So this is just a pretty outrageous statement, I think, because he's basically saying that slavery is not even comparable to what Pelosi and Biden and his gang of misfits experienced in January. And isn't that just ridiculous?
Yeah, I really like that. What AOC experienced or didn't experience on January 6th is comparable to slavery, to the enslavement of hundreds of thousands of Black Americans. AOC being a little bit uncomfortable, comparable to the slavery of hundreds of thousands of Americans.
Capitol police officer came in there.
Joe Biden.
A Capitol police officer came in there, but she didn't know that it was a Capitol police officer. So that's, I mean, that's very frightening when that happens.
And also when you, in general, hate the police and distrust them, you know, that doesn't help you there.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and just what an insult to the people who actually went through slavery. You know, to go off and say what I'm experiencing is worse than what you experienced as a slave, as someone who was made in the image of God, and then all of these people were just used as tools. It's like, how insulting and rude, you know? And then they claim to be the party for minorities and the party against racism and slavery. It just seems so tone deaf to me, you know?
Yeah, and the idea that, you know, 500,000 or 600,000 Americans had to die to get rid of slavery. You know, we settled that as a country, and that's one of the enormous lies of critical race theory is that we didn't settle that. We've settled it. We settled it by killing 500,000 or 600,000 Americans. It was tragic, but it did end slavery. And we did it before almost anyone else. And after we did it, after we and the British did it, it began to spread through the civilized world. Now there is still lots of slavery in the Middle East and the East. There's still slavery in Africa as well.
Yeah, and the one thing, too, to point out is that all summer, you know, as I said on Wednesday, I'm from Minnesota, so I literally watched my entire state burn, like, for the majority, because they didn't just stay in Minneapolis. They went out to the suburbs. They went out and went to wreak havoc across the entire state. And so now we, as, like, mainstream conservatives, are being slammed and lumped into these people who are following QAnon and the kind of these, like, conspiracy theorist people who are probably 20 of them. 20 of them probably broke into the offices, which is not good. We don't condone that. But to say that we're like at that same playing field, that's the broad brush that middle of the road conservatives are being painted with, and it's not acceptable. So the thing too that we have to point out is that these people burned down businesses, they stopped incomes for families, they stopped livelihoods, you know, and then CNN covers it as though they said we have a graphic for it. We said fiery but mostly peaceful protests after police shooting.
Just
that's my favorite. It's one of my favorite CNN moments ever, probably.
Fiery but mostly peaceful protests.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous because this shows again how the media has twisted the narrative and is just painting out conservatives and that middle road demographic to be crazy. And the thing is the president of the United States is peddling this.
Yeah, the president of the United States is peddling this. And, you know, just a few months earlier, when you heard references to civil war and doomsayers saying, good gracious, we may be heading toward a civil war or something, it was liberals who you would hear say, oh, we don't need to talk about that. Oh, no, you want violence. And now that's exactly what President Biden is doing. He's done it twice now. And the second time, as you noted, he literally said this is not hyperbole. The Confederates didn't breach the Capitol. But it's, yes, Joe Biden, you are right. Half of the country revolting against the other half is the same as a bunch of people breaking into the Capitol and standing in line in the stanchions, standing between the things that keep the crowd from getting too close to the art. They stood in line. The vast majority of them were perfectly fine as far as their behavior goes. That's the same as the Civil War.